Welcome to another edition of the replay where we hope to make you guys' day. I'm your host, Jabril Lay Rashad. And of course, joining me on the stage is none other than my guy, Tim Action Jackson, all the way from Nebraska, as well as my man, Greg Ice Tray Lewis, all the way from Texas A&M. Good evening to you guys. I'm glad to be another host on this show today that we're about to get into, and that you all have joined me. And of course, again, I'm the host from UTEP, Texas El Paso. I'm gonna beat you to it this time, Tim.
That's my brother. That's what I'm talking about. Blessing and salute to my brothers, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm gonna give us a round of applause for coming in on another great evening, man, where we can try to dissect some of the things that are going on in the world of sports. And of course, there's been a lot of things that has transpired since Sunday, man. But that's Sunday. Yeah, I guess it was 2 days ago, Sunday, man. Or Saturday. No, that was Saturday. I think we kind of spoke about that. But today is Tuesday. Of course, as we say that the San Antonio Spurs, man, they failed the state of Texas, losing to the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks is your 2026 NBA champions. And all I can say is congratulations to the New York Knicks, man. Job well done. I'll give another round of applause. And Greg, I don't know what to say, man. I see you got a little bit of your gray and your black on. I know you're a Spurs guy, and I'm going to come over to you first because your Spurs couldn't get it done. They did not pick themselves up off the mat. And the New York Knicks came in, it came down, man, to the Alamo Dome and the Riverwalk and everything else you could think of, man. I ain't gonna say stole game 5. I'm saying Jalen Brunson went to work. He started cooking, man, cooking with hot grease. So, what is your take on it, man? And how did you see this game, man, prior to the game starting and then the end of it?
It's just like the rest of the game, San Antonio come out swinging hard, playing hard, hitting shots. But at the end of the game, the fourth quarter, in the third quarter, they start making mental mistakes. And young team, you can't make mental mistakes when, you got guys like New York who's hungry and they still fighting. When you have a chance and, when they down, you got to go on and put the stake in their heart. But you kept giving them life, making, mistakes and not judging the clock right, not time management right. You come down, you up 29, you come down and you just still shooting trays. It's a learning experience. It's a hard learning experience for them young guys and for the coach, and then it just made a lot of mistakes in the end of the four quarters in a lot of those games. And that's why they're at home now. They still could be playing or had a chance to win this championship. But like you said, hats off to New York. And right now, to me, Jalen is the guy in the NBA. He did what I seen a lot of people don't do, since Kobe and Mike. Man, I'm talking about he take over these four quarters and he just cooked, so my hats off to him and to New York,
Yeah, well, you know what, Greg? I'm gonna say this too, and all you New Yorkers out there, all you New York fans out there, let me say this: thank you. I'm not from our perspective. I'm saying you all need to be thanking us, the Dallas Mavericks, the people in Dallas, in the city of Dallas, for allowing you all to steal Jalen Brunson from us. To be able to break your 53-year curse, because we gave Jalen Brunson up for a little or nothing. And let me go on the record and say this. I'm going to go on the record and say this. I never was a Jalen Brunson's fan. I never really liked his game coming out of Villanova. We got to the Western Conference Final at one time with him, but I just didn't see long-term what a lot of people didn't see, okay? But having said that, he's definitely won me over with his style of play, Greg, and what you mentioned about, him turning it on. I concur with a lot of the news media that was saying that, you know, with 7'5" Wemby, you know, if he's going to be the face of the NBA and he would have won this championship basically in his second year, how does that look going forward for the NBA? Because how do you beat a guy that's 7'5"? Well, guess what? It was the guy that was 6'1" that showed you how. He gave you the blueprint how. And so, having said that, it's like, man, I wouldn't have thought that Jalen Brunson would have did what he did, especially in a game 5, scoring 45 points. He really took over, man. He took over the game and said, you know what? I'm gonna put my guys on my back, and I'm gonna do like you stated, you know, the greats do. You know, the Oscar Robertsons, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, the LeBron James, the Steph Currys. He put them boys on his back and he went to work. And I'm telling you, Jalen Brunson definitely won me over, man, because again, I wasn't a real big Jalen Brunson fan. I actually told an uncle of mine, he was texting me about it. He said, in so many words that he hate that the Mavericks gave Brunson up. I said, well, if we wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have got Kyrie Irving. Now, if you're asking me who the better of the two, I'm still taking Kyrie Irving. I'm still taking Kyrie Irving. Ain't no doubt about it. So I do think that we still have a lot to prove with the particular lineup that we'll be bringing back. But Tim, let me come to you on that in terms of this OKC, not OKC. They already a long time ago, but from the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs. What's your take on this outcome of this game?
The first thing I want to do is say it wasn't Dallas, really. It was actually more Cuban. Cuban had a chance to sign him in the offseason. First of all, when they signed him as a second-round draft pick, he shortened the contract, which is unprecedented. He actually shortened his contract and made it where he wouldn't have his restricted rights. So that's very unique for somebody to do that anyway. He did that with Jalen Brunson. He ain't did that with anybody else. So this is more Cuban now. It ain't Nick. It's more Cuban. Out of more Cuban's mouth. He did that. And then when it came time to give him a raise to do an extension, he wouldn't do it. Once, twice, 3 times. And Jalen Brunson said, hey, that's it. I'm done. Right? And he moved on. He moved with his daddy. Came to New York. He said, I got my daddy. I'm going here. And Mark Cuban still thought he had a leg up on him. So that's Mark Cuban. So it's the reason why Mark Cuban's not here anymore. So let's get that part. So that's Mark Cuban. But you are right about Kyrie Irving. Another thing, I think I smell Similac. Similac, yeah. That's the San Antonio Spurs. Similac. They so green behind the ears. The way they finish out these games is just unprecedented. But it actually goes to another thing. Vets win championships. Throughout history, you have to be an exception to win a championship if you're not a vet. So vets win championships. They always do because you need that veteran experience to do things at the right time in the right moment, which a lot of young people don't do. They don't pay attention to all the right details. And they hustle and they play hard. And you can see it from the first quarter all the way up to the third quarter. But that fourth quarter, when that pressure got on, when that pressure cooker was up, that heat was out, they kind of wilted. They started making turnovers, stopped doing the little things. Feet wasn't placed right. They wasn't covering right. They defended a little different. They was up higher than they were before. Just all those little things they wasn't doing, they started to do in the fourth quarter. And those leads started to dissipate, and then they actually would lose the game in the last minute, miss free throws, and all kind of things would come about. So I say all that about the Similacs, and I'm glad that actually, like you said, the New York finally won. 50-something years, they finally got something. 50-something, that's a long time.
53 years. 53 years.
So
you know something?
Let's put pressure on Dallas. That's 30 on the Dallas Cowboys. But we ain't gonna go there for right now.
We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, but you know, the interesting fact that came out of this particular series that they stated this was the first championship that was won by a bunch of outcasts, castaways, if you will. Because when I thought about that, you know, that starting five was not drafted originally by the New York Knicks.
Nope.
Josh Hart, you know, OG. Of course, we know Jalen Brunson taken in the second round by the Dallas Mavericks, and Cat came over, Carl Anthony Towns, and then you got Mikal Bridges. So when you think about it, this was a team of destiny. You know, sometimes it kicks in like that where you become, you kind of figure it out because early, I think the second part of the season, they was having some issues and kind of got together. Mike Brown, the head coach, and shout out to Mike Brown. Congratulations to him being the first year coming over to the New York Knicks after what happened to him, how he got fired up there in Sacramento. But Mike Brown enabled those guys to come and figure it out and ask questions. They made the necessary adjustments. And I think when they was down to Atlanta Hawks in that series, 2-1, I think there was a coming together moment, and they figured those things out and was able to do what they did when they went on that run, man. And what a run it was. What a run it was. I mean, for the city of New York and what has already has endured, even now and in the past, when you talk about 9/11, so many other things that's going on, went on in New York City, coming out of the COVID and everything happening in that city, man. I can't think of another city that probably needed it more, right? It's kind of make you feel like when LeBron them came back to defeat the Golden State Warriors and what LeBron and Kyrie Irving was able to do for the city of Cleveland. So again, I had kind of, if San Antonio would have brought it back to the state of Texas, it would have been great. But I do know that San Antonio have already defeated New York. So for you New York fans out there, don't think you got anything over on Texas fans, anything like that, because they did y'all before y'all did them. So I guess it might be a tiebreaker because I think that the San Antonio Spurs certainly, barring any injury, anything crazy happening, they will be back at some point. I hope it's not next year because I'm definitely going to be rooting for my Dallas Mavericks. But check this out, guys. I'm looking at the backcourt of San Antonio Spurs. I think De'Aaron Fox was left. Maybe he got. I don't know. He got left in the school because he got brought over. And this is just me. Maybe it's one of my wild theories, team, Greg. But I have problems with left-handed players as it is. But don't give me two left-handed players in the backcourt because somebody got to go to their right. Somebody got to go to their right, Tim. I'm just sorry. And I look at you got two left-handed. I mean, for the most part, you got Dylan Harper, which he was stealing time from Dylan Harper as far as I'm concerned. Dylan Harper in the backcourt and De'Aaron Fox in the backcourt. And I'm just sitting there thinking like, nah, it's too many left-handed players, man. I need somebody to go right. So that was just my take on it, man. But I do think Dylan Harper has a very, very bright future. He turned the ball over in certain parts of the game, but you're talking about a young 20-year-old man. And but in terms of trying to get to the rack and do the things, I think he was the only one who was really trying to get to the rack. Maybe Stephon Castle, but we all know he didn't have the shooting night that he had. But he pretty much tried to drive and get to the hole. But Wemby, and I'll say this, Greg, because I know that's your mob or what have you. But see, the problem with Coach Johnson, for me, from the opposite of what I saw, it looked like they don't have set plays. Because when the crunch starts, it's like they don't know when to set up a play to run through Wemby. They just don't. It's like they isolate a lot and they shoot a lot of jumpers, man. They revert back to what it is that they know because it's like they outside again, Dylan Harper, they're afraid to go to the rack. And I just don't get it. So again, it just don't look like they have any set plays, man, that they was calling that I could see. But they're young. They're young. But go ahead, Tim.
I had a deep conversation with my dad. He used to coach, won city championships here in Dallas. And we were talking about Wemby and how he seemed to have paint repellent. And I said, well, the biggest reason why, because his legs are not strong enough. Everybody keeps pushing him out the paint. And they do that. When he do it early, he loses his strength and he gets tired. And so he doesn't get back in the paint because he keep getting pushed out. So I'm like, And then he doesn't have a go-to move in the paint either. He can do so many different things. He don't have a go-to move where he's reliable on that. You would think he'd just turn around and do a jumper. He actually has an easy shot because he actually shoot over anyone. But the problem is he gets worn out. He can't get in the paint without the ball. And so when he gets the ball at the top of the key and he wants to drive. And of course, guys are trying to hit his ball. They're flanking outside their own men to actually get to the ball. So he has a hard time driving. So then he's actually staying away from the paint, and he needs to be in the paint in the fourth quarter more than any time of the game, especially in crucial moments and crucial times. So kind of go back to your point of they don't have a go-to thing that they use or go-to play that they use because their go-to player doesn't have a go-to move besides driving. He doesn't get down in the paint and say, "Hey, give me the ball," and keep his strength. He needs to lower his body leverage. He needs to lower his hips. That way, he can actually use his hips, and it will look obvious if somebody pushed him. Or he needs to start to let referees know how hard he's getting pushed by bending over and making moves. So it's a lot of things he can do. But he needs to work on that, and he can work on different things where he can get in the post and do move, spins and all kind of stuff to stop people from being able to do the things they're doing. And that's without the ball. We ain't talking about with the ball. If he get in the paint with the ball, he makes a move. But when he doesn't have the ball, he doesn't, he can't get in the paint because people push him all the way out.
Yeah, well, I certainly think he got to get into the weight room and do a bunch of squats and get his base, his legs underneath him, because you're absolutely right about that. But you say what though, Greg?
Well, sometimes when you think you lost, you really won, because saying that is that now San Antonio with a young team, young coach, the things that y'all talking about, now they know what they need to work on. They've been in the fire, they've been there, they know what it's like. Now all you have to do is go work to get better. So when you get back into that position, you'll be better prepared and you know how to face the situation. So, and like you say, them guys is really young. They playing off a lot of athleticism. Uh, and I think that they need a coach that can come in, all season. If they bring Pop in, just work with them or somebody to show these guys, how to run some offense. It'll be times where you can use your athleticism, but you can't win championships like that. You're gonna have to be able to run some plays. And,
Yeah,
yeah.
like, I certainly agree. I certainly agree with that. Like I said, they just ran too many ISOs, man. And like I said, De'Aaron Fox, man, I just think that I don't know what he was doing half the time, man. Taking these wild shots, man, coming down, taking ill-advised shots, and you would have thought him having just a little bit more veteran presence about himself, he would have been a better leader. But like I said, they're young. They're gonna be a problem to deal with. I know people are talking about, they still mention OKC. They was talking about, of course, Denver, mentioning Denver, San Antonio Spurs. But see, they keep leaving the Mavericks side. And I keep saying, if you're talking about depth, if we get the right coach, draft right, get us a swing guard, and we have the depth. When you got two big men like in Daniel Gafford, and I'm hoping that Derek Lively, with his absence, and able to look at how Wemby played throughout these playoffs, if he can remain healthy, he should be able to learn something about Wemby and what the San Antonio Spurs was able to do, because he's 7'1" himself. It's not like he's sitting around there, man. He got a long wingspan himself, but he got to stay healthy. And he missed mainly the entire season of not playing the second half, and we're gonna need him next year. And then we got depth. So I wouldn't go with this mock draft or who the Mavericks should get and trade this individual, trade Klay Thompson, because again, I just want to see Klay Thompson have a chance to play with Kyrie Irving or play off Kyrie Irving, how he spaces the floor with, because he's still a deadly outside shooter. And in this league, man, you only good as your bench. It's always really been that way, even during the time of, the LA Lakers and Detroit Pistons and the Chicago Bulls. Man, you only good as your bench. So we're going to need veteran leadership like Klay Thompson. So I think people who are out there talking about the mock draft and pushing the button of trading Klay or trading PJ Washington, may be on the fence about him, but I'll still start the season and give him a chance when Kyrie come back, because Kyrie makes everybody better. And I think he's going to be really hungry when he gets back off of that, a full year, I might add, or coming back off of the ACL tear. And I look forward to the Dallas Mavericks being, right there in the thick of things. I mean, right there in the thick of things. So let's transition real quick, man, because there was a thing that's been talked about, and everybody, didn't see it. I didn't see it until today. And they was talking about Wemby, Yumby. walking off the court, not shaking hands, having an attitude. And just to give you a little bit of what I'm talking about, check this out. It probably happened so quick. Let me run that back again. Right before then, there he is right there. So I'm gonna come to you on this, Tim, first. A lot was said about him walking off, being a sore loser, not shaking hands, and people have their take on it. It kind of sort of remind me of the Isaiah Thomas situation with Michael Jordan, right? And we know about politics and so forth, and what that kind of the optics on that and how it really played out. The politic part of it, I'm speaking about Isaiah Thomas not being a part of the 1992 Dream Team, and everybody and their mother know that Isaiah Thomas should have been on that Dream Team. Everybody knows that he should have been on that Dream Team. If we're talking basketball, so what got him off the Dream Team? Politics. And so politics will play a part in something like this. I'm not saying this is something that we should be on Wemby about, but I'm saying in terms of professionalism and just making sure that you protect your home base and don't put yourself in a position where now you become the villain, because they was already talking about how he was, tossing people around and pushing people off and all this other stuff. I think what I love about Victor Wembanyama is that he wants to win, man. And you see, he's young. He's still raw. He's still young. He's still learning. So don't be too hard on him. But it's one of them deals where he walked off the court just like Larry Bird walked off the court. Magic and them walked off the court, before him. And we can't just isolate him. He's young, and I think he'll grow from it. But Tim, you say what?
I said, learn your history, first of all. Actually, it doesn't play well for you when you don't know your history. Because a lot of times when you look back and you see how that resulted, as you mentioned before, for Isaiah Thomas, for an example, it didn't go too well, him being looked at that way and him deciding to make that decision. If you look at Wemby during this playoff hasn't wanted to speak to the media many times. They had forced him because he missed a media section one time. So they forced him to make sure he speaks in front of the media. And there's been a few times where he actually has been very short in his explanations or his communication with the media. And so you have to be careful when you start to be there, because actually the media actually forms, and that's where you get your extra money from. That's where you get your money outside of basketball. It's through the media. So you got to be careful what you're looking for and what you're trying to do. I know as a player, sometimes we forget what's going on around us, and we say, hey, we're going to just lock in what we're doing for the sport. But part of the sport to get paid is actually the media, all the attention that you get. And so there's a little bit of a homage you have to do and deal with the media. You don't have to be outside of yourself. You can be authentic, but you need to be authentic in front of them. And so he has to be careful that he gonna lose. He gonna actually color himself a different way. You got to remember, he's French, and so the media that actually will raise him up will actually try to crush him at a certain point as well too, if he actually gets outside of himself too often and too much. And that creates this vibe that actually, they'll go about. It actually will make him feel like a villain, make him feel like outside of himself, make him feel like, hey, I'm in the U.S., I'm not at home, right? And so if you want this place to still feel like home, you want to be a little bit careful with the media a little bit more.
Yeah, I concur in that. I agree definitely, because that's part of the politics. That's part of the politics. And when you have individuals, especially when you start talking about being the face of the NBA, they're gonna put you in this light. They're gonna pick your game apart. They're gonna pick your personality apart. They're gonna, what time, eat. What time you came back. They're gonna put you on the microscope. Ain't no doubt about it. So he got to be really careful about things like that. And I do think there is a part of the game where you have to have good, sportsmanship. I do think sportsmanship definitely plays a big role, and you don't want to have your brand, something that you worked so hard on, and people don't understand it or they misunderstand it and choose not to want to take the time out to get to know you as a person, because like what you just stated, him being from France or whatever the case may be, right? And these are the things he must consider, especially when you're playing in the NBA. Yeah, playing in the NBA. The modern NBA right now, with so much social media going on, man, and everything gets flagged, everything gets built up, everything is like right there. It'll go world star on you real fast before you know it. You know, it'll be misrepresented because they're not gonna always get it right. You know, and that's just what it is, and that's unfortunate, but these things do happen. So, you know, something that he must think about. He's young, like I said. It can't be too hard on him because he's still young. And although he, you know, walked off uh the court without shaking any hands, I think the difference is he didn't have to walk past from where he was standing. He didn't have to walk past the New York Knicks bench, unlike Isaiah Thomas with the when he's with the Detroit Pistons when they lost to Michael Jordan them in 1991. He had to walk past the Bulls, and so he walked in that direction. I think it was past their own bench, so he didn't stop and stay and wait to shake, you know, congratulate the New York Knicks. So again, that's a rookie mistake as far as him being the first time him being exposed to something like that, because again, this is his first time being in the finals. So take those things in consideration. Don't hold it over his head too much. Greg, I don't know if you got a chance to talk about, you know, that part of it, Wemby walking off, not shaking hands, but what's your take on it?
A young man that's disappointed, frustrated, mad, ready to fight. You know,
Yeah,
looking back over the stupid things that he did and his team did, he know that it shouldn't end like that. So
yeah, I agree.
when you young like that, man, you know, and you got that fire, and you know, sometimes that you just don't want to be bothered right then. Sometimes you just, you know, so
It hurts.
it hurts, you
It
know.
hurts, man.
Yeah,
It
you know,
hurts.
it hurt, you know. So I don't think it was nothing personal. It just, you know, I just think he just was upset and drained and mad, all that at the same time. And so, you know, he just, because he knew it was over before the clock went off. So, you know.
Right, right. Well, let me just say, man, for those of y'all who are watching us, those who are coming on, this is the replay, and we're still trying to make you guys' day. So, guys, let's segue over to the New York Knicks and talk about them, man. Of course, again, the 53-year curse has been broken. I'm so happy for those guys, man, those fans, that city. But the one person I'm more happy for, man, is super fan Spike Lee. I am so happy for Spike Lee, and I want to be able to play a video from Spike Lee.
Don't quit. No. We do not quit. We can easily turn it up and say, let's go down to Texas. We said, hell no, this game is not over, and we're gonna win. And we did it. We did it. We did it. We did it.
Man, let me tell you something. To see Spike Lee, you know, now I don't know how true it is, and maybe you guys have heard this like I've heard this, but they said that he has about $17 million invested in the New York Knicks over the years that he spent from his seating, where he's been able to be on front row watching the New York Knicks. $17 million. And here's what I said. The only person come tomorrow when they have the New York Knicks parade that should be on one of those floats is Spike Lee. I don't care about Fat Joe. I don't care about Tracy Morgan. I don't care about Jay-Z. I don't care about Adam Sandler. I don't care about, you know, all these other celebrities. But the one person that should get a ring and get up on that float is Spike Lee. Because you talk about pain after pain. They talk about the missed layups from Charles Smith when he was playing against the Chicago Bulls. I mean, missed 4 times around the rim. I mean, we can go on and on. Patrick Ewing, man, not being able to play because he broke his wrist. The one time you finally get a chance to try to get a ring when the great Michael Jordan is retired and you still can't get it done. The time when he said, you know, Reggie Miller holding his neck, talking about how the Knicks choked. He have lived through it, man. He's lived through it, and I was so ecstatic and happy for Spike Lee when they finally got it done after 53 years. So big shout out to Spike Lee, man. And Greg, I'm gonna come to you on first. What is your feelings? What is your take about Spike Lee, man, being able to see in his time, like many of them didn't believe that the New York Knicks, that they would be able to see an NBA title after 53 years of the New York Knicks not getting it done. So what's your take, man, on Spike Lee?
I agree with you. You know, Spike is the super fan. You know, he believed in the Knicks when nobody believed in the Knicks. He kept his season tickets. He kept sitting at the floor. He was there heckling the other team, win, lose, or draw. He was for the Knicks no matter what was going on with the Knicks. So I think he should get a ring. I think they should get him a trophy so he can put it in his house.
Yeah.
You know, and let him do some commercials with the winning New York Knicks champions, and because he's a New York guy, he loves New York, and I'm happy for him. You can't be but happy for a fan like that. You know, a guy that bleeds and love his team like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of great New York fans that, but this guy, he stands, you know, tall against all the names, the big name basketball players who come through the arena. He at their neck, night in and night out. Matter if the Knicks are 10 and 72, he's there fighting for them. So I'm happy for him.
Absolutely. Tim, when you think about Spike Lee, man, and all that he has endured, what comes to mind?
The word hope. Bernard King, hope, disappointment. Patrick Ewing, hope, disappointment. Amari Stoudemire, hope, disappointment. Carmelo Anthony, hope, disappointment. Can you believe it? Jalen Brunson, second round draft pick. They didn't have no hope for him. They had no hope. Matter of fact, everybody was like, oh, we got Jalen Brunson. Is that our big thing? Stephen A. Smith or whatever his name is. Oh yeah, look at them. Yeah, they got Jalen Brunson. Oh, they ain't gonna do nothing for him. All the reporters out there, right? Oh no, they just got Jalen Brunson. Nothing. We know who had hope? Spike Lee. He had hope through all those times, no matter who was putting on that uniform, right? That purple and gold and orange, or blue and orange, whatever you want to call that color. He had hope the whole time. Had his colors on, stood proud, always looking for him to win and be their best. And stood there right there, he had the weight game. He was San Antonio. San Antonio and New York been having friction after the game, before the game with fans, right? No,
Right.
he's not having that friction. He's sitting up there like, hey, I ain't worried about all that. I'm coming to this game. I'm coming to San Antonio. And he was there to see them win that final game. That was amazing when you think about it from that standpoint. That he got a chance to be there on the floor. He didn't have to wait to New York. He was there in San Antonio. He should be on that float too.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. There's no way you can have a parade and not have Spike Lee up on that float. And he should have, like Greg said, a trophy in his house. He should have a ring on his finger, and he should definitely be on that float, because when you think about a super fan, he is the picture, the perfect picture of what a super fan is. Because to go through 53 years, you know what I'm saying? And he was born when they won their last championship, or prior to this particular championship. He was, he was alive. He saw, Walt Frazier and them, and Dave DeBush and them, and Willis Weed and them. So he was there. And no one would probably sit back and think that it would take 53. I can't listen, 53 years for you to actually win another championship. That's a long time. That's a lot of perseverance, man. That's a lot of not giving up. And you talking about having hope, man. I think he certainly epitomizes and is extension of what that really is. I think you look up in the dictionary now, they may have a picture of Spike Lee, man. A picture of Spike Lee smiling with them round glasses on, wearing his orange, decked out in his orange and blue, with his orange hat on, with the New York Knicks smiling so wide. So when they won, that final buzzer went off. Although, you know, again, I couldn't, as for the state of Texas, would I have liked to see San Antonio, man, bring that trophy back home? Absolutely. But at the same time, they're a little bit of a nemesis to us, the Dallas Mavericks. It ain't nothing like my Dallas Mavericks, so I'm not gonna go too far off the edge if they were to lose. I'm a diehard Potter root, like I said, more for the Mavericks than the Dallas Cowboys, which we'll get to in just a second. But once it was over with, and San Antonio gave up many opportunities to push that to a game 7, I was happy for Spike Lee, man. I was happy for the New York Knicks fans, even though I think they embarrassed the city based on their behavior and how they treated a lot of those San Antonio Spurs fans. I think that was definitely unnecessary and cause for it. They need to show a little bit, you know, more class than that. But, you know, I saw some video of San Antonio Spurs fans. They got some payback too, some get back. They undressed one of them New York Knicks fans down in San Antonio. So, but anyway, but I was so glad to see again Spike Lee being able to see it with his own 2 eyes after all of the money. It was kind of funny. I didn't see Denzel Washington, but he probably was in the audience somewhere. But there was a lot of celebrities that came out to support. And some of them was bandwagons, as we know. Taylor Swift, I don't even know where she came from, but she was out there with a blue shirt on. I'm saying to myself, no, what is this about? But anyway, we know that Spike Lee is that super fan. So big shout out to Spike Lee, man, from the replay. We hope that you're on that flow tomorrow, man. And we wish you nothing but the best. So, guys, the curse have been broken. It has been broken. So it leads me to this question. The Dallas Cowboys. Will the curse finally be broken for the Dallas Cowboys this year? Will the Dallas Cowboys finally get back to the Super Bowl and do exactly what the New York Knicks did? But before we come in on that, let me give you a little bit of play about the OTAs.
Speculation he wouldn't show up based on past behaviors, but he did report to minicamp yesterday, did his physical. So is Pickens finally turning the page and ready?
So the question was, as she was about to ask on there, George Pickens shows up for OTAs. He proved everybody wrong that he wasn't going to be there. Those who was pundits and going on the record saying that George Pickens may not play under the tag, he may not show up, man. To all of that, he put to bed. And I'm so glad he said he want to be in Dallas. He want to help this team win a Super Bowl. He will come in and play the way he normally been playing. You know, again, the Cowboys, if the New York Knicks broke the curse, surely the Dallas Cowboys would break the curse. And I'm coming to you quick. Greg, you're going to answer this, man, because I know you're a big San Francisco 49ers fan. So I'm going to put you in the chair. Go ahead and say that if the New York Knicks did it, the Dallas Cowboys will be hosting the Super Bowl trophy this year.
No, they won't. I'm going to explain to you why. New York Knicks had a little killer named Jalen who kept the ball in his hand most of the time. Now, the person that keeps the ball in his hand most of the time for y'all, he's not a killer yet. He's going to have to prove himself in big-time games. He's a great regular season guy. But I want to see him get that monkey off his back in the playoffs. That's what I want to see. You know, now, you know, Cowboys done revamp coaches on defense, revamp the defense. So if the defense start playing well, and hey, it's going to all fall back on that, you know, because the Cowboys have been in a position since Dak been the quarterback in the playoff games and to go win the big game. But when he gets in the playoffs, he just, you know, in crucial times, he just like he blank out. He just throw it a crazy interception, or he'll drop the ball, or he just, you know, and Dak need to just concentrate on. He gonna play good regular season. You ain't gotta worry about him in the regular season. It's just when the playoffs come.
You know what? I can't. I can't disagree with you. I can't disagree with you. Until you show us otherwise. It's kind of like I was watching Cam, who was on First Take, and they just played a couple of videos of him and Stephen A. a couple of weeks back, and he had actually picked the San Antonio Spurs to win. And it was kind of one of those things where he said they never seem to let you down, kind of like the opposite of the Dallas Cowboys. But now, today, he had on an all blue suit, orange tie, orange handkerchief in his suit, blue hat, all the whole 9 yards, orange hat or whatever. And they was giving him a hard time. Big Kendrick Pershing was looking at him like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? He said, but no, we in it now. We won. You know what I'm saying? He back. But he said, I had to say all that to give them guys something to fight for. So, Greg, I'm just simply saying, I hear where you're coming from. And I'm saying it from this perspective. I agree with you. But I'm also saying I want to see him get that 800-pound gorilla off his back as well. And if he cannot get it done this year, with all of the talent that's been surrounded by him this year, I do believe that the Dallas Cowboys will have one of the best ranked defense in the entire NFL this year. If they get into their playbook, study hard, do what they got to do through going through the OTAs and eventually or soon training camp, preseason, I certainly think they should be able to do what they need to do.
But not just that, is that the real stigma is that you making more money than anybody. You make more money than Tom Brady. You make more money than these guys, these super quarterbacks. Hey, man.
Yeah.
It's time, man. They gave you the money.
Yeah.
They gave you the players. It's your time.
Well, I'm gonna say this before I come to Tim, because I just would never thought that Sam Darnold would have. Sam Darnold, are you kidding me? Would have won a Super Bowl before Dak Prescott.
But Sam Darnold figured out, hey, he figured out if I just stay in my realm, not try to do too much, and play within the lines. If he's not open, don't try to force it. Hey, throw the ball away, live for the next down. I got a great defense. Let them guys put us in a position to win. Just be a smart quarterback. And he figured it out. He figured it out.
Well, Tim, you say what?
So I want to say thank you, because you just reminded us how much it means more than the quarterback. Because if you mention Sam Darnold, it already lets you know it means it's more of a team game than just the quarterback. And we know this because we play, all of us. We know this. It ain't just a quarterback. If that was the case, some teams would never win a championship. New York Giants, a few other people. Okay, look at this. Before the season, when the season ended, we lamented the defensive ends, no rush. The front seven, the linebackers, oh my goodness, and the secondary, trash. This is what we came up with. We was like, wow, this defense, and look at the stats of the defense. So in order for this team to be what we want them to be, not only do they have to look good on hope and thoughts about what they added to the team and what that coach can construct. And I like our coach. I do. Coach Park. I like our coach. He actually gonna do some special things.
Yeah.
But they have to do it on the football field. And I believe they will, but they still have to do it. They haven't done it. They haven't even got started playing tackle yet, So we're still talking about things they have to show. And it's funny how what the media does. They actually said this is the worst defense. They had no hope. Now all of a sudden the media want to push them all up so they can turn them down. So it's funny what the media does. And as a Cowboy follower, that's my team, always will be, right? I have to make sure I keep my my thoughts on what's really materialized, what I've seen. That defensive line is gonna be more special than what people realize. I guess they're starting to realize. And that linebacker core, especially if Captain Zero is at the mic,
Yeah, the
which
Marvin
they're
Oaks
doing. They're
stuff,
gonna put him at the mic. Yes. So they're gonna put him at the mic. If he's actually there, that's going to change everything with his ability to move and get from one end to the other at the Mike linebacker. That's special. Of course, when you get that defensive line, they're going to keep him off of him. So if they keep him off and keep him kind of free and clear, he's going to help that run majorly. And so then you're talking about that, and then you're talking about the secondary, and you're talking about the coach coming in, and just the things they're putting together with the secondary to do all the way they're going to attack and the different way they practice it now. They have this little drill they're doing in practice. You got four little sections on defense, and everybody's practicing the same thing. They're practicing drop backs. I'm talking about linemen, linebackers, and secondary drop backs, as well as one of the stations is actually rushing. So all of them practicing rushing. They're practicing catching the ball, all of them, the whole team. And so they go in different sections, just like this, in four different areas, and they going in and they practicing everything. They practicing then stripping the ball as well too. So all the different things that lead to winning, which is turnover ratio, as well as being able to rush and being able to cover. And so with that, it's going to make it more natural for those guys to be interchangeable, which goes right into his wheelhouse. So I do understand why you get excited, Jabril, over there. So I understand, because I know you know this as well as I'm talking about it. You know it as well too. And when you see somebody mind, the game is about their mind. The whole key is, can they put it all together this year? That's the question.
Well, I'll say this. I'm from the Show Me State. I'm on record saying what I've been saying for the longest. I think the Dallas Cowboys fans deserve it just as much as the New York Knicks fans, because many people, and it's a little bit different for me, because I think when people start talking about how long the Dallas Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl, but the fact of the matter is they won. They won. They've been to the dance 8 times. Just because you haven't seen it in your lifetime doesn't mean that it did not happen. So it's unfortunate that they haven't been back, because I think the stigma and everything else that comes along with it being America's team and all that stuff, well, that's just what, the popularity of the people say. Have they had their opportunities or gotten close to their moments, even under Tony Romo and Dak Prescott? Yes. Has it all come together at one time? No. And that's the biggest issue. Now, again, when you get a coach like a Vrabel from the New England Patriots, and he get the job in 1 year, and he take a young quarterback like Drake to the Super Bowl, whether if they won or lost or it was a draw or whatever, the fact of the matter is we haven't been to the NFC Championship game. And to Greg's point, you making the highest money out of any quarterback in the league, with the exception, well, I don't know. I got to look at him and Patrick Mahomes, but I think Dak is still the highest paid when the last check. But the point of it is, you making that kind of money. So when the chips are falling, when do you put the Cowboys on your back? That's all I'm asking. I know, the NFL is they call it the ultimate team sport. It's the ultimate team sport, and it takes 11 people, man, to do it. Everybody, playing a role and doing what they're supposed to do. I get all of it. But don't tell me that there don't come a time or two, like a Tom Brady, when you just say, or a Joe Montana. I was listening to the story of Joe Montana when they was playing in the playoff. Well, actually, it was the Super Bowl against Cincinnati Bengals when Ricky was playing his rookie year. And they was talking about how he came in the huddle and he was laughing. I believe it was. He was talking about one of the actors that was sitting in the stand. And here it is. You talking about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever was left in the game. He's talking about the actor that was in the stand. I was like, hey, man, that's so-and-so, so-and-so. And I think it was John Taylor that was telling the story. And they went to laughing like, this dude here. And that's why they call him Cool Joe. And Joe Montana just did what Joe Montana do, like in the likes of a Roger Staubach. Some of the greats, man, the Tom Brady's, man, doing what they do. If at the end of the day, you look at the defense and just say the defense, like against the Green Bay Packers, just didn't do their part, the Michael Parsons, them, and everybody at the time. But you can't add to the damn avalanche. You can't add to it, Dak. You can't sit there and throw a pick when the defense is back. After the game and post game, he sat there and said, we knew what was coming. Because every time CeeDee Lamb went into motion, he stopped in the slot. He knew Dak was looking for him on the slant. And the DB never backed up. He just stood right there and broke on the ball, picked it off, and ran it in for a touchdown. So these are the little things that I think that Greg is alluding to in myself when I think about Dak Prescott. Now, as you said, one of the greatest, if you put up stat for stat in the regular season, one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks to do it. But now it's not about the regular season. It's about when we get into the playoff, can you get it done? And I guarantee you, man, that's going to be 90% of the people that's watching the game. They're not going to care nothing about the regular season. They waiting on the post-game season. Can you get it done? And I don't want to hear nothing about, well, you know, it's Christian Parker's first year. Oh, they got the, no. If you got the player that at the skill positions to do what they supposed to do, then you coach them up. That's why they pay you the big bucks. I don't want to hear it, man. If the New York Knicks have broke a 53-year curse, then I think that it's time for the Dallas Cowboys to do the same. And if you're not on the same page, and that's not what the goal is, that's not what you're going after, I'm going to have to show you to the door. I'm going to have you hit, you know, turn your cleats in, turn your playbook in. I need you on the street. Because I need, Tim, Greg, I need to find out before training camp it's over with. I don't want to wait to get into the season, Tim. I don't want to wait till, you know, week 6 or week 7 or after bye week and they talking about the Cowboys need to trade for this person. No. I need for Schottenheimer and company to evaluate these players from day one. I need a Jimmy Johnson. I need a Gordon, you know, something that you know about Tim back in '89. I need a Jimmy Johnson. If you got asthma, go have asthma over there. That's what I need this year. So I think if they do that right there, I think they're gonna give themselves a realistic chance. I ain't talking about the previous years where, you know, and I always tell people, well, I think 32 teams, every fan think they're going to the Super Bowl. So that's no knock on the Dallas Cowboys fans. But and if you're not thinking that way, I think there's a problem with you. But at the same time, it's all about the race to the finish. So yeah, Tim, when the season starts, bro, that's what I need to know. Don't tell me when we get into the season. Well, I'm not gonna try to hear that one. Or you know, I got some nicknames for you. Because if you start with that Matt flushed the toilet, I'm gonna tell you off the bat. I got some nicknames, Greg. I got some nicknames. You know, right now, for me, it's still Dak Prescott. So until he's so different, then I'll see Dak Prescott. But right now, it's still Dak Prescott. But you say what, Tim?
But Greg, man, you got to intervene because I'm worried about my brother. I don't want him to have no heart attack. Because I don't know if he putting more pressure on Dallas or he putting more pressure on himself because he wants them to. He said Knicks, now it's Dallas. So hey, brother, I'm gonna have your back. I'm gonna be right there for you. I got you. We're gonna do this thing this year. Okay, I got you. I got your back.
Well, we shall see. So I had to talk about that, but before we get out of here, man, we got one more segment we got to talk about a little bit more on a serious note. You know, we talked about this briefly last week in reference to Carmelo Anthony, the young teenager man out of Frisco up in Collin County, receiving 35 years after being found guilty. And one of the things that really disturbed my soul, amongst some other plethora of other things that we'll talk about in just a second, was how quickly they escorted him onto the TDC prison buses and got him out of there. And now he sits over in PAC unit in Navasota, Texas. But when I saw this image right here that they put up right here, let me put it up on the screen, of the photo that they took. If you were to, without this being, you know, a colorful photo, and I'm gonna leave it up there for just a second. If someone were to tell me that this was a picture from 1925, I would believe them. I would believe them.
They look like a slave.
It looked like a slave. I'm glad you said that, Greg, because that's exactly what I put on the rundown, referencing Carmelo Anthony. I said, this is definitely the new slave system and what they've done. They went in and shaved this young man's hair all the way off, his face, and whatever little light mustache that he had, they shaved it off too. They subjected him as a slave. And as I posted on my timeline and my story page, the problem with us is that many of us think that slavery actually ended or we was emancipated in 1865. That's not true. All you got to do is go get the book. I read her book back in 2010 by Michelle Alexander called The New Jim Crowism. And in the book, she talks about how we have been duped into thinking that slavery have ended. All they've done is taken slavery by any other name and put it under the criminal justice system. When you go back and you study all of the amendments, specifically the 13th Amendment, as I spoke about on my timeline, the 13th Amendment simply reads that slavery have ended. I'm kind of paraphrasing. Slavery have ended. Involuntary slavery have ended unless you have been duly convicted. D-U-L-Y, duly convicted. That's about you exhausting all of your remedies. If you found guilty at trial, you have a right to exhaust all of your appellate grievances. And you have some attorneys that are better at writing than they are trial attorneys. They specialize in that, which truthfully, that's where it really begins, because his fight really starts now. It's not really in pre-trial or the proceedings. The fight really starts on appeal. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't know on an appeal, well, let me say this. When they're having closing arguments, the prosecutor gets the last word. On an appeal, you get the last word, the defense. Okay, so your brief is the last brief that's turned in. And when you look at all of this, and you look at the picture, I'm gonna put it back up there of this new Jim Crow, a new slave system. Again, I saw this picture, and that's exactly what came to my mind. I said, this is slavery all over again. That looked like a picture could have been from the 1800s or the early 20s or early 19th century or the early 20th century. I'm telling you that when they talk about private prisons and that crime pays, that's how they backdoored us and keeping modern day slavery alive. Because remember, slavery was all about commerce anyway. When they went across the Atlantic Ocean to bring slaves over here to North America, it was about commerce. It was about coming over here, developing and working the fields and doing the things that the slave owners wanted them to do. And the whole operation was financed by a lot of the international bankers from England. Yeah, the Royal African Slave Ship and all that stuff was financed by the Englishmen, and they are the ones who will come over to America. If you go back and watch the movie Roots, which I know many people missed this, but there was a part in the movie Roots where this banker came over from England and he was talking about the bear. If y'all remember the little cartoon called Bear Rabbit, where the bear rabbit, he got stuck in the syrup and couldn't move. That was the Bear Rabbit concept, perpetual slavery. After emancipation came, they had convict leasing programs, right? And what they would do was indebt the slave. You know, they would tell them that you owe me for this, whether if it was a mule, whether if it was for the land, tools that you borrow, and they would keep them perpetually in debt. So when you look at Carmelo Anthony, his picture that they took and put it out into the public, they know exactly what they was doing. They're making a point to look at this young man and use this as a symbolic lesson to say, you all think that slavery is over with, but we know the real truth that it's not. And we're here to show y'all that it's not. So people got to wake up, because just because you don't have any fetters or manacles or yokes around your necks doesn't mean that slavery is over with. Not if you're intellectually enslaved. This is my point. I keep making this point over and over again. If you're shackled in the mind, as our great writer once said, an activist, Woodson, Carter G. Woodson, Miseducation of a Negro. If you have shackles around your mind and you're still thinking like a slave, then you're a slave. And they're going to present information and pictures like Carmelo Anthony. They're going to present that to the world. They did that on purpose. I would love to know TDJC, the individuals who put this picture out there. We didn't have to see that. So what are they really saying? What is the message behind this picture? So again, we're talking about Carmelo Anthony and what was done wrong, and I'm talking about on appeal. Now, me personally, Greg and Tim, I think he gonna definitely get some action, because if nothing else, there is a case, and I think many of y'all are familiar with it by now, should be, of a case by a young Caucasian male by the name of Kalen Allison, who was in Belfort, Texas, back in 2023, stabbed one of his ex classmates multiple times inside of a bathroom, and he pleaded, that he was standing his ground, and pleaded that he feared for his life multiple times, and only got 10 years. 10 years compared to what this young man got, who only stuck Austin Metcalf once, and he fled after he did, as if it was one of those deals where I'm trying to get you up off of me, and took out running. So he didn't stab him multiple times, but he get 35 years, 25 years more than Kason Allison. Then you tell me what is wrong with this picture. 25 years more, Tim. 25 years more, Greg. Then this. So right off the bat, that's a sentencing disparity. I think that's an appealable issue. Just like the Batson rule. Many of y'all heard me talk about the Batson rules. It was a landmark Supreme Court case back in 1986 from a guy named James Kirkland. I think that was the first name, James. I know his middle name was Kirkland. Batson, where they was doing preemptory strikes against African Americans simply because they was from a certain location, or they looked a certain way and all that, and they was just striking them off the jury. Well, the Supreme Court ruled in 1986 that you can't do that. You cannot do that. And that's what they've been doing throughout the years, striking African Americans off the jury. Now, I heard some people say, well, many of them disqualified themselves from the jury based on what they say. Well, that has happened a lot, even on state cases, more so because people don't want to do jury duty. But here's the issue. They don't tell you who's in trial. They don't tell you who's going to trial. They tell you we have a case. It's a case about this, and they leave it like that. They don't give you the names of the people that's going to be tried in the case, of none of that. You find that out after they select the jury. So for them to, as they like to say, disqualify themselves from the jury, well, it wasn't about them disqualifying themselves from the jury. It was about some of them probably not wanting to be on the jury because for whatever reason. Now, does that make it right? Absolutely not, because I think that's just silver duty. And if we get more people, just like when they talk about voting, they want African American people to go out and vote. Well, if we get certain people that look like us to be on the jury, then it becomes a jury of your peers. But this oftentimes is not happening. It's not happening. And so I think we do ourselves a disservice and disqualify ourselves to even be able to talk about a conviction on a young brother like Carmelo Anthony when we're not taking jury duty, and we're not on jury duty to do what we are supposed to do. So again, Tim, I think he will get some action on that because he got appealable issues. He has a right to legal representation according to the Sixth Amendment, which I do think that his attorney was ineffective, especially if he did not preserve some of these things on the record. He has the Bastion rule. He could have filed a motion for recusal if they find out that the judge has some previous relationship with Jeff Metcalf, the father. There's been a motion that was filed to remove him from the case, to recuse himself. That's another issue. And again, the sentencing disparity, which I do think that he will have some action on that, because his sentence, on how he got sentenced and the range in which he got sentenced, not having a criminal history, not a criminal background, 3.7 GPA student, had a job, actually saved somebody from drowning at one time. This was an all-American kid until this unfortunate fatal incident that happened. And another thing I would say, I'm hearing about this video. I actually thought the video was played. They're saying some of the people who saw the video prior to the trial, they said that's not the same video that they saw. They said the video that they saw the kids approaching Carmelo Anthony. They didn't play that video. So I don't know, because there was no cameras in the courtroom, if the judge didn't allow that information to come in. It seemed like there's a lot of things going wrong with that situation. But again, I want to talk about this, bring it up just for the people who may not know how the legal or judicial system really works, especially when you on appeal. His father should have done a little bit more research before he hired this individual, thinking that he would have his best interest, because again, an attorney, part of the definition from attorney, as I spoke about it before, comes from the Latin word attorn, A-T-T-O-R-N, and it means to turn you over to someone. So if you think that an attorney, a barrister, a counselor, and a lawyer are all the same, they're not. Go and look up, find out, research exactly what is the difference between them, and you'll learn a lot about this judicial system. So again, Greg, I'm gonna come to you on that. If your mic is unmuted and you want to speak on that regarding the pitcher and his appeal.
Well, yeah, that picture looked like it was took in the 1800s, like you said, but I just hope that whoever they hire as a lawyer, get a good brief lawyer, someone who's good in writing briefs and know how to attack the court system. Like you said, when you're writing your brief, you have the last word. So most likely, if you're a smart attorney, know how to fight your brief, when you put your issues in, you talk about them, but you don't go into depth. You let them reply, and then that's when you put the icing on the cake when they reply, and you do your last reply. But I hope that they did the right thing during trial, for as reserving his rights to fight the issues that he has coming for him. Now, if they get another lawyer to represent him on the brief, his appeal, now what is his trial lawyer going to do? Is he going to come to the table and say, hey, yeah, I was ineffective because of this, or, I'm not going to say I was ineffective. I'm not going to step up doing that. I didn't object to it because I feel like it wasn't need to be objected to. It wasn't a help, So you have all type of things that's going on right now behind the scenes, and what did the court let in, what they should have let in, what evidence that was presented to the prosecution and wasn't let in, or what the prosecution had and didn't tell the courts about it. So it's a lot going on now behind the scenes. So I just hope it all come out that it can help him get a new trial.
Yeah, I certainly concur with you on that, and I think that it will. And I think there are some unanswered questions. I would personally hire a private investigator, man, to find out what was the relationship between Jeff Metcalf and the judge himself. I think he should certainly start there. Give me just a second, put myself back up here. What I've been hearing is that they've had a previous relationship, and I think that that needs to be brought out on the appeal part of it, in regards to ethics, what was ethical versus what was not. Of course, in a ruling like that, and let me say this right quick, because if he does not prevail on the appeal, they have, I believe it's 3 judges that does in bank. He can request for a second in bank, which you will want to exhaust that, simply because if he were to have to go out, and I think all of his issues should be constitutional issues. It should be definitely constitutional issues. If he preserves his constitutional issues, a right to good legal representation from the 6th Amendment, the Batson rule, and so forth, then he would certainly get some action. But I would exhaust everything I can through the Texas Court of Supreme, Texas Supreme Court, I should say, before I actually try to deal with a constitutional issue when I'm going to the 5th Circuit up in New Orleans. Because the chances, if it doesn't get overturned or he get a time reduction, which I think, if nothing else, if he don't give it back, he should be able to give a time reduction back. If that didn't happen, then it's going to be a failed effort, because when you filing those writs, man, whether if it's a writ of mandamus or what have you, you filing those writs to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court only hear 1% of all cases. They only hear 1% of all cases, and that is a problem. So I'm hoping that whatever happens, man, that he can get his time back. He can get his time back based on the appeal that they'll bring out uh, on the lower circuit first and foremost. Because anything, man, that gets past the Texas Supreme Court, and if it's a constitutional issue and they're able to give it over to the Fifth Circuit to hear it, if he don't give it back by then, it's sad to say, man, that 35 years, of course, he don't, it's not like the federal system where you're going to do that day to day. He have to do whatever much time is on that, before he come up for his parole board hearing. And incidentally, by the way, they fired one of the parole board supervisors because they they put out there that Carmelo Anthony is going to be okay. They're going to take, that person got fired, by the way. And so I thought that was amazing too, that they would fire this individual. But anyway, I just wanted, like I say, man, we had to. Tim, I want you to comment on this too. Let me take this down. Put this. I'm gonna put it up one more time for the people to see. That is a slave photo. That doesn't even look like that's in the year 2026. That's exactly how they used to do young people and our people even back then. This is a slave photo, man. There's no way around it, and I think it's a symbolic meaning to show us who's still running things. When you're duly convicted, this is how they relegate us in a system that's never been just to African American and Latino brown people. But Tim, you say what?
You guys eloquently covered so many things about this. And the biggest thing, actually, as I go in, is representation. That must be much better. He must find a much better representative, because in that he'll find the best representative you can. That representative will do the things you guys are talking about. They will file for the motions and appeals and the things that need to be done, and do the investigation that needs to be done, all the research that needs to be done, by having the best representation. Two, this is a propaganda machine. They always do this as much as they can. They always want to do a negative light on those that they're putting into the system, or back into the system. The new slavery is old slavery. It's not new. It's new to so many folks who didn't understand, but it's not new. It's something that's been going on since this nation even started. And people have a whole misconception of how this nation is. This nation started based off of trade and new riches. And so from it, like you said, it's all commerce. But even more than that, it started from there. And then they saw people who were nice enough to accommodate them. It was nice to them. And they brought over people like them to meet them and actually to communicate with them. They slowly brought over more indentured slaves, even more than they did slaves of black people. They brought more indentured slaves because they need to bring their numbers up to have wars, to have people that actually be have to do their bidding. And so over time, the ships with the records will show as people start to look back. You need to look at it a little bit different. Stop looking for how many black people were moved over. Look at how many white people, indentured slaves, were moved over, and how many criminals from prisons over in other nations that was actually come different forward. They had to, because remember, they was all on the coast. And to move inland, they didn't have enough. Even the gunpowder they used with the cannons didn't was enough. But all this was actually to take over land and resources so they then can make money. Of course, eventually they got big enough to fight the British. So, because they was getting representation, right? And taxation without representation. So, but this was all to move forward to actually claim riches that didn't belong to them. And so this is nothing new. The whole deal is actually to continue to have riches by actually having free labor that actually makes your profit margin bigger. All about capitalism. Capitalism says what? The bigger your profit margin, the more money you make. So this business of putting us there, we understand all the different things you want to talk about, the rights and the judges, but we actually understand the margin. We also understand what the big picture is. It's always been about slavery. It's always been about money. Big corporations own prisons. They make money from prison. As a matter of fact, if they're not making enough money, they then come to the state saying, hey, you're not giving us enough prisoners. So that tells you right there, that's slave labor. We cannot continue to be this and not know this in our communities. We need to understand this and we need to come together a little bit better. And you see, that's why we have these funds where people are funding things. I'm sad that the father didn't use it in the first place to actually get the best representation. But so many times we don't understand what representation really means in this country. If you don't have it, you have it's very hard to actually get anywhere for how they'll stack a deck against you. And so this is a time where actually, where we lament not only that he was a young man that actually is pictured in a way that makes him look criminal or like a slave, but also what it does to a family and what it does when he walked in that door. So we have to get the representation right, so we actually can then execute the things that both Jabril and Greg mentioned. And so upon that, I would say, hey, let's get that done first, and then definitely do all the things you guys mentioned before.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we want to continue to send our prayers out to the Anthony family, definitely, because again, you only know what you know, and when you're going through something like this and this is your first time going through it, you'll hear a lot of people, man. You don't know who are the money grabbers, those who are just trying to abide or try to get some type of publicity to represent themselves, whatever, who has their best interest. And that's the sad part that I'm looking at play out in the public, especially listening to his mom when she went on CNN to discuss the proceedings of all of this, and the dad looking kind of dumbfounded, like he was told to hire this particular attorney and whatnot. And I'm sitting there saying, man, if had we at Am Student Athletes, which we should have been in the front part of this thing like the other organizations, but having people to come from an experienced point of view, like myself, like Greg, like my brother Marcus, like individuals whom we could have easily reached out to come and share this platform and support this family with the right information that to equip them with that they was going to need. I don't feel like they got that. I feel like they got a bunch of activists, man, that's out there in front of the camera just doing a bunch of talking, and not really advising Carmelo Anthony the right thing. You're not talking about the sentencing guidelines. You're not talking about what could happen. You're not talking about any of those things and what his constitutional right is and what motion should be filed. I really highly doubt if his attorney filed what they call a limine motion, raising certain issues, what can come in, what can't come in into this situation. Because believe me, the prosecutors, they're going to subpoena and do everything they can, which I believe that's what happened in this case, to try to get a conviction. And although many of us do not like the end results, a lot of times in the preliminaries, man, we skip steps or we miss steps. Either way, we're not hitting all, or we're not perfecting the steps. And that in and of itself is a problem. I think there's enough knowledge and information, especially we're living in a time where you can just go to Lexus, which many people don't know about. Listen, you had a case that you're dealing with, that you can go and Google chat this, man, and pull up a LexisNexis case and just ask LexisNexis, well, give me a shepherdized case that's closer, that fit Carmelo Anthony's, where they can fight for, even in the court proceedings. Now I heard somewhere in the media that his attorney was supposed to have preserved the Batson rule, and I hope that he did, because if he didn't do that simple thing, knowing that you had an all-white jury, he was definitely 100% without question ineffective, in my opinion. And so again, I would have loved to reach, and I still have that opportunity. Maybe I will, but we are handling some other things behind the scene. But I certainly would like to have just spoken with the father, man, and the mother, man, because I feel the pain to be able to say, even on appeal, you can still give yourself a chance or put yourself in a winning position to give that time back. Again, I don't know if they're going to give all of it back, but he should have a significant reduction, man. But I feel like he can give it back, because I think that he has some constitutional violations, and I don't think that his attorney had a workout plan. Because you can just tell from the parents just based on their conversation. I don't think he had a pre-workout plan. And for those of you who are out there who have, have someone, know someone, have a relative, whatever, you go through situations like this, have those attorneys to give you a workup sheet. Let them know through the sentencing guidelines or whatever. You got to look at it from both perspectives. If you're found guilty, based on the rules of the sentencing guidelines and whatever else they give you, how does that look and how could it affect me? What am I talking about? You can go with a base level 6 or a 7 thinking that you're going to get probation. But when they start hitting you with these leadership points and everything else, it'll raise your levels all the way up and you'll be in a category 1. And God help you if you got another criminal something on your background within 15 years, they're going to move you over to a category 2 and so on and so forth. And that's how people wind up getting them elbows, them life sentences, and all these other ridiculous draconian style sentences that they do not deserve. So when you know better, you do better, and you able to present a better argument and put yourself in a better winning position. So again, guys, I had to show that photo because it was something that I just made me feel like, man, it was a flash from the past based on young people. I'm thinking about the George Stinneys of the world, the youngest African-American young male who was executed at the age of 14 in the history of the United States. From a so-called judicial system. We know there was probably many of them killed younger than age 14. But as far as going through the due process of it all, it's a hard reminder that we haven't moved as far as we think. We just have not, and that's just the reality of it. So again, I wanted to raise that as an issue. We're gonna keep pushing the needle forward, and we're gonna support the Anthony family through our prayers or our presence or whatever the case may be. We at I Am Student Athlete will certainly be trying to reaching out and see if we can support or whatever that they may need. And we're going to continue to educate our youth, man, because it starts at the genesis, at the very beginning. The fight is not over with. We got to get in the game of life and understand exactly what happened before it happens and not after it happens, when now we want to complain and raise, saying about it, whatever the case may be. So guys, on that note, we got to close out the show. I appreciate you all for coming on. This is a great opportunity to all of my fathers out there, man. We got Father's Day is coming up, so I want to send a big shout out to the fathers and say Happy Father's Day to you all. This have been the replay, but we hope we made you guys' day. Don't forget to go over to your app store. You can download the app Alice Slam Worldwide TV. You'll see the Wide Sports channel, and that's where you'll get all the great content and much more. We're still working on quite a bit of things that we'd like to continue to add to the show. So again, it's been a great evening speaking to you guys in the world of sports. Another thing that's happened in our culture. And Greg, Tim, I salute you guys, my co-hosts, always down with me. And y'all can say whatever before we sign off. I know I said a lot.
Yeah, I want to say condolences to Coach George Dawson, who was my secondary coach at University of Nebraska. Condolences to his family. Send out all my love. He always gave me wise words. So, my salute today to my coach.
Absolutely. Greg?
I just want to say that, to the parents of Mr. Anthony, that, make sure that you keep in contact with your son and make sure that he keep a strong mind. And I'm pretty sure them guys down there, the older guys was down there where he at, that they watching over him, and I think everything's gonna be all right, and I just hope that these lawyers who's coming up next do the right thing.
Absolutely. On that note, y'all have a good evening, and we're gonna see you soon. Be safe out there. Peace, and may God be with you.
Peace, love, and be wise.
Peace.